We're on.
Okay.
Welcome to the Monday, March 23rd Committee of the Whole meeting for the Town of Smiths Falls. My name is Jennifer Miller. I'm the councillor that will be chairing the meeting tonight. We have regrets from Councillor Brennan, CAO Morris, and Councillor McGuire is joining virtually for part of our meeting. I just ask that we pause and reflect while I read the land acknowledgement. On March 23rd, 2026, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all of our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:03 p.m. and move into the approval of the agenda. Councillor McGuire?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I was wondering if, looking to Mr. Grenke, but if we could defer the in-camera item or move it to the beginning of the agenda, depending on how urgent it is to deal with tonight.
Thank you. And I do understand from Mr. Grenke that we are able to defer it if we need to, so I would turn to my colleagues to ask how they felt about that.
Sure. There's no time limit on it?
No.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll defer 11.1 for this evening.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking for someone to move the amended agenda then. Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that the March 23rd, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting agenda be approved as amended. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interests and conflict of interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, there is a motion for approval of minutes, moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that the minutes of the March 2nd, 2026 and March 9th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meetings be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have no delegations, but I do understand we have one director's report. Manager Grenke, is that you? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. One quick update from Development Services this afternoon on a procedural matter. An appeal has been filed on the new Heritage Conservation District plan that's recently been adopted by Council. So this appeal is to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and it will be, of course, managed according to OLT and Heritage Act processes. A practical impact in the immediate term, that means that the implementation and enforcement of the Heritage Conservation District is paused until the appeal is resolved or is otherwise directed by the OLT. So earlier this winter, Council also adopted amendments to the CIP that, among other things, allowed for more generous facade grants for heritage properties, with heritage properties now defined to include contributing properties within the Heritage Conservation District. Given that the contributing properties were still defined in the HCD bylaw and that the CIP is a voluntary process with funding decisions entirely at Council's discretion, those contributing properties are still eligible for funding should Council decide to approve applications that are submitted. So just a reminder, the CIP spring intake will still close on March 31st. And as of today, staff have had 16 pre-consultations on CIP applications and 2 applications have now been submitted. So that concludes my update for this evening.
Thank you. Sorry,
That's
it's
all
not
right.
you, it's me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Mr. Grenke. For the benefit of our audience, you used a couple of acronyms there, the OLT and the CIP. Would you just, I do understand them and appreciate that, but for the benefit of them, would you just let them know what that means?
Certainly, and my apologies. Sometimes planners get into, we use those acronyms. The OLT is the Ontario Land Tribunal. They're the body that considers appeals under the Planning Act and the Heritage Act. And the Community Improvement Plan is also known as CIP. That's our funding program that allows us to support to support or financially support facade improvements and other enhancements to downtown businesses, among other places.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Thank you, Manager Grenke. We have no committee of the whole consent report, so we'll move into our priority issues, and we'll start with 9.1 with Manager McNaughton.
Madam Chair, members of council, I'm happy and pleased to present the 2025 Annual Drinking Water Summary Report for the Town of Smiths Falls, covering the periods of January 1st to December 31st, 2025. This report, prepared in accordance with Ontario Regulation 170.03 under the Safe Drinking Water Act, provides an overview of system performance, regulatory compliance, and water quality. I am pleased to report that the town's drinking water system remained fully compliant throughout the year, with no instances of non-compliance identified during the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks inspection. Notably, the system achieved a 100% inspection rating once again, demonstrating continued operational excellence and a strong commitment to delivering safe, high-quality drinking water to the residents and businesses of Smiths Falls. In 2025, several key developments and performance indicators are worth highlighting. The commissioning of a new 5,000 cubic meter elevated water storage tank took place in December. This marked a significant infrastructure milestone, improving our system's reliability, pressure management, and fire protection capacity. Water demand remained within approved limits, with all flows well below regulatory thresholds. The system itself produced approximately 1.46 million cubic meters of treated water, supported by robust treatment processes and continuous monitoring. While overall water quality remained high, the report does identify opportunities for improvement, including addressing non-revenue water levels and the infrastructure leakage, which remains areas of focus moving forward. Additionally, the successful renewal process is underway for the municipal drinking water license, and continued accreditation under the Drinking Water Quality Management Standard reflect the town's ongoing commitment to regulatory compliance, risk management, and continuous improvement. So I am here and happy to answer any questions that councilors may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a terrific job to you and your team. Again, and to hit those milestones, it's really impressive. I have reviewed it. Could you remind me how often you have to apply? We have to apply for the license.
It's an every 5-year process.
So you're gearing up for next year and a 5-year period, or
Yep.
this?
Yep.
Okay. No, it was very impressive, and as always, we've gotten used to keeping our eye on the billable water,
Yes.
and you're not taking your eye off that.
Yep.
And we really appreciate that.
Yep. So one of the things I'll just touch base on with the way the utilities department has been, I guess, essentially growing and maturing. With the amalgamation of bringing distribution and collection over, it's allowed us to essentially have more people doing more jobs and supporting that. In our line of work, we're very specific when it comes to licenses. I hold all 4, but not every operator has had the time and the experience to be able to gain that level of certification. So you become very specific sometimes to what you're doing, whether that be treatment or distribution or collection. What this allows us with the amalgamation, everything being under one roof and us all working together, we can deploy guys from different departments when things get down or times get quiet, and we can have them out supporting the outside staff. When it comes to doing leak detection, we've got a very high quality Ecologics leak detection monitor, which we can deploy it into the system, which essentially allows us to pinpoint where leaks are. So 2026 is going to be about a year of updating our fire flow system. So under the NFPA standard, every 5 years, fire flows are to be updated. And we're going to be doing that. So that's the color coding you see on your hydrants. So we've got a very busy year with that. Touching every hydrant will allow us to do sounding. So we're going to be able to pinpoint those leaks and be able to button up the system just a little bit more and get back on track with the non-revenue water that we're looking at.
And just to follow up on the list of acronyms, everything's there but the NFPA. So again, would you just remind me what that is?
That would be the National.
Fire Protection Association.
The
Of
National
course,
Fire
and it
Protection.
wouldn't be in your, it would be in the chief's.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess that's one thing I'd like to touch base is that we all have to work together, right? The water that we supply isn't just for drinking. Fire protection is a big thing. So knowing that we've got a new water tower and, you know, the support of the fire guys and stuff like that, when they let us know when they're using it, it helps us to be accountable for that non-revenue water that gets unbilled. So
I have a question from
we say
Mayor.
thank you for
I have a
that.
question from Mayor Panko before you step down.
And on the same theme, but first, I mean, that's the fourth year in a row, the report's got 100%, and I think 2021, it was 99.22, so it's pretty exceptional scores through all the years. But on the non-revenue water, so I see it jumped a fair amount. So I know you've got plans, you said, in 2026 to try to help improve them. What happened last year? Because we went backwards a bit from.
Yep. So if you look at the main breaks, so we've had an increase in main breaks to the infrastructure. Bringing on a new water tower presents certain challenges. As you know, over the next 3 years, we're planning on upgrading the trunk main that's going to feed that. So not saying that we put the cart before the horse. The tower had to be put in. Our old tower was 102 years old. You know what I mean? It was experiencing leaks frequently. And those challenges, every time you have to take it down, disinfect it, it's a lot of labor and a lot of time and a lot of money, essentially, right? So this new water tower, it is a blessing. I can speak from the operational standpoint. What we're seeing at the plant is phenomenal. To have the booster chlorine system, the online monitoring, and just the technology alone that's contained inside that site is pretty substantial. So it's going to take some time, right? We had a lot of focus put on to, you know, assisting with George Street, a couple special projects. But once we can focus our attention, non-revenue water will be the focus of this year. But again, going towards the main breaks, we had 8 last year. So again, not seasonally high, but it's presenting itself up, and those were large main breaks. So in this municipality, I always say, consider the system like your heart. The treatment facility is the starting point. And as you pump it out, you start with the big valves or big lines, and you work your way to the little ones, right? So we've got 16-inch, 12-inch, 10-inch, 8-inch, 6-inch, and 4-inch lines in Smiths Falls. A lot of those main breaks presented themselves on 10-inch lines, so a lot more volume of water can be lost over that period of time.
And we safe to presume those breaks were likely leaking for a while before they were detected.
Yes, so Smiths Falls, again, very challenging landscape. We are built on a rock, and all of our infrastructure is encased in that rock. So I give props to the men that put the pipe in originally, because a lot of that was chipped out by hand. We're really afforded the ability to, you know, get things done a lot quicker, but a lot of blasting probably had to happen to get things in place, right? So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Quinn?
Thank you. I think everything has been said, but I want to thank you for your report, but I also want to thank you for keeping the public updated. At the opening of the new water tower, you took us inside. Anybody that was there, you took them inside, and it was all explained. Does it mean I totally understand it? No, but you took the time to do that.
Yep.
You also have had tours through the water treatment plant. And it's amazing. People just can't believe what happens to the water and comes in, what you do to it, and then it goes out. And they appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to
Well, I thank you for that.
So I thank you.
I was told a long time ago that sometimes that seeing is believing. So if we can let them see it, maybe they'll believe us when we say it. So
Thank you very much for your good work, and pass on our thanks to your staff.
yes, I will, definitely.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9.2, the draft climate action plan with Planner Grant.
Okay. So staff requests that the draft common action plan be presented for information, providing an opportunity for early and preliminary feedback before we go towards public consultation with an open house. Can you guys hear me? No. At this stage, we're not looking to endorse any of the recommendations specifically or any budget commitments. Instead, we're looking at council's input before we go to public open house. Council's consideration in the draft plan will support the town's progress in completing our Partners for Climate Protection 5-step framework milestone So completing the draft plan would be putting us at milestone 3. Previously in December, we had endorsed the emission reduction targets for milestone 2. So this is just along the same framework. We're just going towards milestone 3 at this point.
Thank you very much. So I'll just turn to my colleagues and see if anyone has questions or comments. Councillor McKenna?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just on behalf of the Climate Action Work Group, which has been meeting for more than 2 years, maybe 3 years.
3 at least.
3 years. A terrific combination of the mayor and I and staff and community members who've worked diligently with you and our consultants to bring this. It is a journey, and this is an important milestone along that way. I want to thank you for that. I also really appreciated the clarity of the report you've written. I encourage the public to take the time to read the full report, because the important next step is the public consultation
That's right.
after after committee's review tonight. So I'm really pleased. And again, a reminder for those who haven't had a chance to look at it, we're following a national process. Federation of Canadian Municipalities have laid out a guide for municipalities on how to do this work. And Smiths Falls has adopted that and been following a very methodical approach. It is ambitious, and we hope the public will come along, or actually the public is leading us more often than not. It's far ahead of most municipalities in wanting to, you don't need to look too far to see the impacts of climate change. And the public, the community is very concerned. We think this plan, the committee certainly does, think this plan is a terrific milestone to get us. We've been working on this, but this will move us to the next level. So again, thank you, Richard, for your hard work on this. We really appreciate it.
I would just add to that, Councillor McKenna, that when I first opened it, it was a long document and I was a little concerned about public accessibility. So I would just shout out to people, please read it. The executive summary is really great, and it's just a couple of pages long. There's images that connect with the action items that the document highlights, and so that's a great place to start with this. And I also think it's a really great way for us to communicate each piece with the public as we roll things out. So I think it's a great job. Mayor Penko?
Sure, and thanks, Richard. The outcome is really solid. I've been part of this process. I think we started this discussion in 2019, 18 or 19
Yes.
overall. So we're at a very critical point. The public consultation obviously is going to be very important, but the plan itself contains a lot of very meaningful recommendations, how we can judge the merits of each recommendation, the cost of each recommendation. So, and as we know, I mean, most of the U.S. right now is under a heat wave, 15 to 20 degrees Celsius above normal. We know the last 11 years, the hottest years on record. And we have the threats of El Nino coming this summer, which will make things even hotter potentially. So, I mean, I know we're a microscopic piece of the solution, but we all have to do our part. And I think what we have here really contains solid recommendations and a path forward. So, well done. I know you put a lot of effort and work into this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9.3 with our Chief Building Official, Andrew Willows. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Council. I'm here to present the 2025 building activities and building permit fee report. Part of building services job is to, and the regular duties is to compile and present stats throughout the year. You see that regularly with Carl. And tonight I'm just here to present a report that shows the building activity is about the same as last year. The permit fees are a bit higher than last year, but the stats are similar. Housing's down a bit. Commercial ICI, commercial industrial commercial and institutional is down a bit as well. But overall, the permit numbers are about the same height, being made up in other permits. Throughout the year, we've seen that the housing is down a bit, but hopefully this year will be a bit better. We have both subdivisions online now, and they should be coming together quite well. The other part of the report is part that is dictated by the Ontario Building Code Act. We have to present a permit P report. In this, you'll see there's numbers that don't quite add up. You might have noticed that on my summary, the building summary, it shows 213,000 and change for the permit fees. And on the first line of you see the total permit fees of 243. It's just an overlap of the years before us coming in. So that's the difference there. This year we took some money out of reserves to fund the department, and we've left the final reserve at 1.8 million. That's my report for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions and comments?
Great.
A round of applause, apparently.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much for your
Thank
work
you.
and for
Have a
your
great
report tonight. Director Clark, 9.4.
Good evening. I'm back again this evening at your direction. We have a few more faces present around the horseshoe, revisiting the potential of striking the steering committee for a potential regional recreational facility. For further clarity, we have, I believe, Mayor Pankow and Councillor Brennan have suggested that they may potentially be interested to participate thus far. We're also looking for one more with an alternate, so 2 in total from this horseshoe. I would note that and confirm that while we have developed terms of reference broadly, we have not yet set a meeting schedule, and one would be developed with respect to members' workloads and availability. The intention is not to be a meeting-heavy committee. This is advisory in nature, and one that would allow the development of this project respectfully and with input from outside our organization, as we're looking for this to be a regional facility. I'd also note that this project will span many councils, and understanding that we're going into an election year, so just wanted to acknowledge that. But we believe that the time is of the essence in getting started, as this will be spanning multiple councils. So I'm back here and would take any questions.
Thank you, and thank you for clarifying the commitment. I'm hoping that gets your next 2 people putting up their hands. So I will pause while looking for hands to go up. Councillor Quinn, are you offering to assist?
Yes.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
That's 3. And do we have an alternate? Councillor McKenna. Thank you very much. There you are, Director. Okay, moving along to 9.5 with Chief Cheeseborough.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. My report tonight is going to cover 3 areas regarding parking and parking set fines. It has been a recommendation that after 5 years, parking set fines be reviewed. Part of the report, when we reviewed the current parking fees for the Market Street parking lot, we decided to take on and look at all the rest of the fees and charges that we're charging for parking. Using our comparators that have been used in the past, we are below annual set fines. In the attached appendix, it'll indicate what the average is for that we're proposing to go to the Ontario Court of Justice. The report requires council's endorsement resolution before we can submit that to the Court of Justice for their review. They'll review the set fines in comparison with all other jurisdictions, determine whether or not we're asking or exceeding what the average is across, or that we're under, or they may approve exactly what we've submitted. Also contained in this report is why we're doing that. We also included a section that people could pay early within the 7-day allotment. My understanding is, speaking with the clerk, that this was previously done years ago, but in the rewrite of the bylaw, it was not brought forward or included. The intent to put that in is hopefully to discourage individuals from contesting it, pay within the 7 days, pay a less amount on the set fines. And the third part of the report deals with the private parking lots. In 2009, in the book, as far as back as I can find, in 2009, they issued some contractual agreements with individual parking lots for parking enforcement requirements. At that time, there was no fee for the enforcement services. The bylaw department would collect, the town would receive the funds for the set fines that had been established with the parking lots. In review, I went around and discussed with each of those groups that were previously identified in the agreements to see whether or not they would consider or wanted to consider continuing with these agreements. And if so, that we would be putting together a report, a recommendation that we would charge a flat rate across the board. When we spoke to Walmart, they said, well, we can't make a decision. It's got to go to corporate office. Canadian Tire wasn't interested. They don't have any parking issues. The one place that was on Russell Street is no longer open. The former restaurant that had a parking lot, they were unable to contact them. The only parking lot, private parking lot, that had expressed an interest over the last couple of years is the one on Main Street at Rivington's parking lot. When we reviewed the total operational costs, they weighed any potential revenue that could be generated from providing enforcement. The intent was with the additional third bylaw officer that would be down on the street in the main core and some of the side streets, that was far more worthy of having that done than going into a lot that has 100 spots and spending time in there to maybe get 1 or 2 parking tickets. So the recommendation is tonight is that we just continue with the agreements that were established in 2009 with little or no revenue coming in from them, to the amendment to include the early pay option, the provision of the voluntary pay provision in the new bylaw, and to approve submitting these new set fine rates to the Ontario Court of Justice to see if it would be accepted.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I support the staff recommendation for that, but I do have a question. In the proposed column for the new rates, if there's an X in there, does that just mean it's not changing?
Correct. That means
Okay.
we're static with the
All
other.
right, that clarified it for me then. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Councillor McKenna?
No. Thank you, Madam. Well, all right, sure. You talked me into it. It's nice to see some of them drop off, that we're not going to, it's always good to remove as much as you can. We all understand the need for it. It keeps order and peace, order, and good government in Smith Falls for the drivers and parkers. No, I too support the changes, and I was wondering about. It slipped my mind, so I won't blather on any further. But no, it's great. Oh, it was about at a future meeting, perhaps you could just tell us how many fines are issued under these at some point last year. Like, is it, because a lot of these you wouldn't get many, and then like parking in a bus zone, I'm assuming that would be a pretty low number, but it's in there.
On the very last sheet, in 2024, there's 466 tickets issued, 424 and 25. I can certainly have the staff provide a breakdown.
That's good. That's enough.
Thank you. And probably in 6 months' time, when the new bylaw person is on board, it would be interesting to get an update on those numbers. I think it's still a valid point.
Through the chair, I think that you're going to see a significant difference with the third bylaw officer with a committed parking enforcement in the downtown core and the side streets. Certainly with the two bylaw officers we have now, it's been challenging to say the least. I'll give the members a short scenario. For tomorrow, we will have no bylaw officers in town. from 8:30 until maybe for the whole day, as both are attending court on parking tickets being contested. So we've lost them for the day.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm seeing nodding heads and thumbs up on your recommendation. Thank you, Chief, for
Thank you.
coming. Moving on to 9.6 with Director Dauber.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council. So this report is our housekeeping yearly requirement for putting together a report to capture the costs of having council and supporting council, and to put that on the website, public website by March 31st. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I know council's seen many of these, so I would just be happy to take any questions council might have.
Thank you, appreciate this. Any questions or comments on this report? Thumbs up. Thank you, Director, and I think you're up again with 9.7.
I am, thank you. So this one does need a little bit more of an explanation. During the budget process, we presented a number of about 65, if memory serves correct, capital projects for 2026 on a meeting in November. It was my duty to review the information that was presented within those budget enhancement sheets. And I'm sad to report that on this one, there was a number that was missed and I missed it. So I didn't get that number corrected. The attached shows that there's a citywide permitting software license for $12,000. That's a one-time cost, as is the implementation and professional fees for $22,500. They are both together one-time costs. Therefore, they are the capital cost together for that project. I'm here to report it and ask for council's permission to increase that approved budget by the $12,000 to be able to complete the project. The one thing that is worked in our favor is that it's not touching the tax water or wastewater based capital reserves, or it's not touching the tax levy, so there's no change. What it will touch is from 2 reports ago, that ending balance with the building reserve for $1.85 million. That's where it will be drawn from. So there's no long-term consequences on the rest of the town.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Thumbs up across the board. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 9.8, new official plan. Manager Grenke, you have some issues and options.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff are pleased to bring forward some updates to Council on our official plan process. So on February 23rd, we presented an issues and options report where we summarized the feedback that we've received from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing through their one-window commenting process, as well as everything we've heard from the public and agencies over the last number of months. So all of this was on a draft that was originally released to the public late last August. The intent of the February report, and the 2 being presented this evening, is to present and compile feedback from these various sources and give council a picture of where we're at with the plan and to get your direction on the next draft. So the first report this evening follows up on a couple of items that council asked us to have a closer look at and consider in more detail. And the second report will present the results of the updated land needs assessment, which addresses one of the more substantive comments from the ministry. So in general, the feedback we've received suggests that we're broadly on the right track with the OP, and some fine tuning would be helpful to make sure that we're aligned with provincial policies, as well as making sure we're aligned with the vision set forward by council earlier in this process. So the issues and options follow-up looks at 2 policy and mapping items that apply to specific areas of the town and are very important because they set the stage for how council envisions these areas developing in the future. Firstly, the report looks at setting the boundary for the downtown fringe designation. Council will recall that this is a concept that was introduced in this official plan that applies to the shoulder areas of the downtown core and would allow for more flexibility of development type in these areas, including opening the door to all residential development sort of on the outer edges of the commercial core. This implements recommendations we've considered in background reports and has generally been supported in stakeholder consultation. The downtown core designation would continue to exist and continue to require ground floor commercial or public uses to form an economic and social heart of the community. Council's decision revolves around where the boundaries between core and fringe should be set. Our recommendation looks at both the existing pattern of development, i.e. maintaining a commercial character is important, and also council should consider what we're likely going to be needing in the long-term future. The boundaries of the Heritage Conservation District present a good starting point for council's consideration in terms of defining the core and the fringe. They don't need to be a finishing point, they probably shouldn't, but the Heritage Conservation District and official plan have a similar objective in terms of how they envision the heart of our community. However, the HCD is not a land use policy. That's what the OP looks at. That being said, to guide the next revision, we suggested that council directs us to use the boundaries of the HCD as the initial basis for the downtown core designation and to fine-tune those boundaries on a block-by-block basis. For example, incorporating clusters of commercial development that were excluded from the HCD because they're not heritage significant, but also looking at excluding waterfront areas from the downtown core designation that were included in the HCD, but are better designated in the OP as open space. So this approach would create a more customized and forward-thinking boundary between core and fringe and can be presented as the second draft. The second item
Actually, Manager Granke, can I pause there and maybe allow any questions and we could give direction on that and then move to the second one?
Certainly.
Does that work for you? Okay. So we have a staff recommendation about the fringe area. And following the Heritage Conservation District boundary. Any comments, questions, or thoughts? Mayor Panko?
I agree with that approach for now, with the exception of the waterfront properties, as you mentioned. So I'm fine with the recommendation.
Okay.
Uncomfortable.
Okay. So you have your thumbs up on the first one.
Thank you.
So we'll move to the second one. Thank you.
All right. So the second one, we're looking at a planning approach to set forward for the vacant lands between Ferguson and Ferreira. So that's one of our strategic opportunity areas identified through this process. So this area presents a very unique opportunity for council as we own most of the, or you own most of the lands there and have the opportunity to set forward the vision for that land. So the first draft set forward some high-level guidance for these lands, recognizing the potential for residential or commercial development, given that both typologies exist just beyond these lands. So for council's discussion and feedback, we're proposing to expand upon that and include some directions on community character and form. So looking at the broader use of lands and an efficient pattern of development. So there's lots of work, of course, to be done before development can actually occur. Specific density, of course, will be defined by servicing availability, capacity, traffic, detailed site assessment. These are the normal sorts of things that would have to happen in a development application process. But for now, the broader, higher level vision that we're proposing would form the basis for a development process. So the OP would set council's expectations, and then we're trying to set the right balance, identifying clear and defined expectations for the land while also being high level enough to form a realistic framework that a developer could actually take and advance into a viable development project. So at this point, the report indicates the suggested revisions that we're proposing for that opportunity area, and we're looking for council's direction to carry forward with that in a second draft and a further round of consultation before it gets finalized.
Thank you. So Manager Granke has put suggested wording changes in red. Any comments or questions? Mr. McKenna?
Thank you, Manager. Mr. Grinke, could you remind me when you're hoping council would approve the official plan, the final to send on to the ministry?
Through you, Madam Chair, we're looking at about maybe a month to compile the changes that would comprise a second draft of the OP, and then we would be setting that forward we'd be scheduling a formal public meeting to present and consider those changes. So we'd make the draft available a number of weeks before that. So if we have the statutory public meeting later in the mid to late spring, then at that point council can, if if we're essentially ready to go at that point, then council can consider adopting the official plan. Of course, it would go to the ministry afterwards and go through their process. But if everything goes well, we could be looking for potential council approval later this spring.
That's great. I just wanted to ensure that it wasn't staggering this council with the next council, given it's election year. So it's on us to make these kind of decisions. I'm supportive of your recommendation of the high level use of that for our property. It's a very valuable piece of property, and at this point in the OP, the official plan, we want to give the next council and future councils as much flexibility as possible on how to develop that. So I'm supporting your recommendations.
Thank you. Mayor Panko?
Thanks, Carl, and I agree with the wording as well. I think we've got a unique opportunity here, and I'd like to, I guess, at what stage do we have a broader discussion on what we collectively envision for that parcel of land? And when I think of over half the people in our community who would not be able to afford to buy a home, could we look at having options there that would make home ownership more affordable? The type of community we'd like to create there. So I think it's important we have that the accessibility of smaller units, maybe section for seniors, all this stuff we can probably accommodate within one parcel of land. That would make a lot of sense. So I'm supportive of the wording for the OP, and I look forward to more of a robust discussion in the future on how we can proceed with the future development of the property.
Thank you. I think this is a perfect opportunity to welcome our new manager of economic development who's with us tonight. And there's an opportunity for her to provide input in this exciting opportunity as time goes on as well. So, Manager, thank you.
Yes, I was going to mention, I think a great next step would be meeting with our new manager, our CAO, and sort of defining an implementation process, looking at some of the tools that are available to us, both through potentially procurement, setting out an RFP if that's the direction that council wanted to take, as well as identifying some of the steps that we can take that may potentially maybe doing some of these technical investigations ourselves to make it easier for a developer to potentially take this on. So I think these are all conversations, implementation details that we can that we'll be having over the coming year or couple of years once the OP the official plan is in place.
And I think understanding where those gaps are in the current housing continuum and seeing what way we can help fulfill. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm seeing nods and thumbs up around the horseshoe. So thank you for that report, and you have your direction. But don't leave. Your 9.9 as well, the update to our land needs assessment.
Thank you. The second report being presented this evening relating to the official plan is the updated land needs assessment, which was compiled by Dylan over the last week. So as noted in the previous report, we've had to do this because the 2024 provincial planning statement changed the scope and methodology for how we forecast growth, which meant that we needed to update the 2023 land needs assessment that formed the basis of the first draft of this official plan. So the updated assessment extends the planning horizon a little bit further in the future, so now 30 years rather than the 25 we were looking at before, and the functional effect of that is we need to plan for 30 years rather than 25 years of growth. So the updated assessment does two things. Firstly, it updates the population and employment projections through to 2051. That forms the basis of the plan. It also defines in broad terms where that development is likely going to occur. So you'll see in the first draft of the plan the general direction of where residential employment lands are going to go, and certainly it's a fairly logical direction. That's the largest towards the end of Lawrence Street and around the 361 Queen, the former Rideau Regional Complex. Those are the largest undeveloped areas of town within our urban boundaries, within our municipal boundaries. But and the updated land needs assessment generally suggests that development would take up a bit more of those lands and indicates the future expansion in the years and decades ahead. So the report shows some more of the specific numbers that were are proposed for consideration. So at this point, staff are seeking council's acceptance of the updated land needs assessment and direction to accommodate this within the next draft of the plan.
Thank you, Manager Frankie. Thumbs up, and we appreciate the recommendation, and you have your acceptance of it. So thank you very much, Manager Frankie. Appreciate your work. And the last item on the priority issues list, borrowing bylaw. Director Dauber.
Thank you. During the budget process, we identified 6 items that were currently sitting on the balance sheet in unfinanced capital. Generally, unfinanced capital is reserved for projects that go across a couple of years, or we're just waiting for market conditions to be favorable. There's a number of different reasons why they sit on there, but generally you don't want it to sit there for too long. And usually the auditors have something to say about that. So as part of the cleanup with all the staff changes lately, we identified 6 items to bring forward and to debenture in 2026. So what this is doing is taking 5 of those items and looking to debenture that with the Royal Bank of Canada, who we currently have some debentures with, as well as Infrastructure Ontario. So everything except for the water tower. The water tower will be coming back later once we have confirmation of having received all of the invoices and captured all of the costs, because there were a few items carrying over into 2026. I had planned on coming next month, however, are very active and very well to work with RBC rep called up and let me know that it looks like rates might be going up very shortly. Just so council is aware, the Bank of Canada did announce that the interest rates were not going to be going up at this point. However, our debenture with Royal Bank or any institution at this point would rely heavily on what the bond market is saying. And the bond market moves a little bit differently and sometimes increases ahead of the Bank of Canada rates. So when the market anticipates that there's going to be a possibility of a rate increase down the road, because the bonds generally tend to be over about 5 years, they will initiate that rate increase. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve and make sure that we get the lowest rate possible. We did get a rate of 3.87, which is considerably, it's almost a full point lower than Infrastructure Ontario right now. So we felt that was prudent to go in that direction. We need a bylaw. A part of the rules of engagement with Royal Bank is that when they're dealing with municipalities, that they need a bylaw from the council in order to proceed. So that's why this is on tonight, and that's what we're seeking is the signing of that bylaw.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just a couple of comments. Thanks for saving us money, and I support the recommendation.
Thank you.
Mayor Panko.
Thanks, Paul. The amortization period for this?
Yeah, this one, because of the fact that we were so pressed for, during the budget process, we were trying to keep things as tight as possible. So 2 things. One, the amortization periods are 30 years, but this is for a 5-year renewal, which seems like an awful long time. For members of the public, this is about $2.5 million, which is a considerable amount of money. However, based on this size of an organization, that seems to be a long debenture period or amortization period. But in order to keep the budget as low as we could, we amortize it out with the option that when it renews in 5 years, that we can shorten that amortization period up. Now, when we did the budget, the good news is that when we did the budget, the rates actually came down from the budget. So there's actually a little bit of room. So we made sure there's wording in there for, I forgot what the name's changed. I've always called it the balloon payment. And now there's a different name for it. So basically we can fill that budget line up and make an extra payment in order to bring that amortization down. And we will be looking to change that amortization period after the 5 years.
Okay, and just for, I guess, public clarity, if everyone's wondering, I mean, these are projects which are done, been paid for, but we use our own internal funding to pay it. This is going to borrow that money now. That'll replace the money that we borrowed internally or used internally the interim period. So
Exactly. And thank you for pointing that out. So this is basically a cleanup. It's something that you normally do once every year. Some projects do carry over into the second year that you do this cleanup, but with a changeover in staff, we're getting around to that now and replacing the money from the reserves that we had basically, as the mayor said, internally borrowed.
Thank you. Councillor McKenna?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do support your recommendation. And it was important that you noted the generational equity to ask taxpayers today to pay the bulk of that when it's going to be assets that future generations are going to benefit from. I don't mind spreading that, won't say pain, but that responsibility to pay for these assets out over 20 or so years, so that not everybody today is going to be alive and benefiting from that, so that everybody's going to pay their fair share. So if I understood that concept.
Yeah, exactly. And if I could just, when we come back with the water tower, and to your point, it'll likely be a 30-year debenture, and we're looking at Infrastructure Ontario for that 30-year debenture exactly for that reason, that you're associating the cost for that infrastructure for the time period in which it's being used. Not fully, because I believe a water tower is good for much longer than 30 years, but that's as long as we can go with the debenture.
Thank you. Thanks for securing this good rate too. The timing is good. Okay, so it looks like you have your direction. Thank you very much. Okay, that ends our priority issues. Does anyone have any committee, board, or external organizational updates? Seeing none, 11.1 has been deferred. Oh, sorry. Did I miss
second
something?
item of the debt projections report?
Did you want to speak to that?
I apologize. I should have spoke to that. That was just there for reference as to the actual amounts and the projects.
Okay.
So that was just for council's reference purposes.
Thank you. Okay, so 11.1 is deferred. We have 3 correspondence items for our review and direction. So I'll start by saying we can accept these as information unless anyone would like to pull one out for discussion. Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Madam Chair. 12.3, the resolution from the City of Kingston regarding the redevelopment of the Kingston Health Science Centre. They're not seeking money from us. They're seeking our support to encourage the provincial government to accelerate the approvals so that the Kingston Health Science Centre can be rebuilt. Many of our residents benefit and use that very important asset. So I, for one, would encourage our council to at least adopt the resolution encouraging the province to accelerate that really important community asset.
Colleagues, do you agree?
No, I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Clerk Costello, does that come forward at a future meeting, or is that?
It'll come forward to a future council meeting.
Thank you very much. Anyone like to pull either of the other 2 letters? Or receive for information? Okay, we'll receive the others for information. Thank you. We have no notice of motions, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Quinn. All in favor? We're adjourning at 5:55 p.m. Sorry, carried.
5-minute recess to council. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to this meeting, special meeting, Smith Falls Town Council, regular meeting, Smith Falls Town Council from Monday, March 23rd, 2026, which will open with our land acknowledgement. On March 23rd, 2026, we acknowledge that the sacred land, which Smith Falls is now located, has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and has rich Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution to the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Motion for approval of the agenda is with Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that the March 23rd, 2026 special council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor McKenna.
Clerk Costello has a comment.
Oh, yes.
Mayor Panko, if we could formally add bylaw 10.2.
Oh, sorry, yes. 10.2, the formation of a steering committee for recreation.
Okay.
So the agenda as amended.
You want me to redo that?
Thank you. So it's moved by Councillor Miller, second by Councillor McKenna, the March 23rd, 2026 special council meeting agenda be approved as amended. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. As for disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest and general nature thereof, I see none. Motion for approval of the minutes is with Councillor Miller.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Quinn that the minutes of March 2nd, 2026 and March 9th, 2026 council meetings be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Quinn that the minutes of the March 2nd, 2026 and March 9th, 2026 council meetings be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any reports for any members of council tonight? No, and the only report / announcement I have tonight is because next Monday is the 5th Monday, we're having a special council meeting tonight. We'll have a break next week. There'll be no meeting held on next Monday. We have no presentations and proclamations. We have no consent agenda tonight. We have a number of motions. Our first one is with Councillor Robinson, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls received the 2025 Statement of Remuneration and Expenses Report.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Robinson?
Just to get it into the record, how much it cost last year for the municipality to have a council in there?
You mean the investment, not the cost?
Okay, the investment.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor McKenna. The Council Corporation of Town of Smith Falls received the 2025 Statement of Remuneration and Expenses Report. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Miller, you have the next motion.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that the following Town of Smith Falls elected officials be appointed to the steering committee for the Regional Recreational Facility Project for the remainder of this term of council. Sean Panko, Chair. Councillors Jay Brennan, Don Quinn, and then as an alternate, Peter McKenna.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Miller?
Yeah, so we struck this committee to support Director Clark and staff as we look at a regional recreation project, and this will help us work well with our neighbors and get this project underway.
Thank you. Any further comments? It's moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor McKenna. The following Town of Smith Falls elected officials be appointed to the steering committee for the Regional Recreational Facility Project for the remainder of the term of council. Sean Panko, Chair, Jay Brennan, Don Quinn, and Peter McKenna as the alternate. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you for the volunteers. And moving forward, item 9.3, Councillor Quinn.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a report 2026-040 entitled 2025 Building Activity and Building Permit Fee Report be received as information.
Any further discussion, Councillor Quinn?
This is an update on what has been taking place, and everyone needs to know that.
Thank you. Any further comments? Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Miller, that report 2026-040 entitled 2025 Building Activity and Building Permit Fee Report received as information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And Councillor McKenna, you have the next report.
Yes, thank you. This is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Robinson that Council, the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls, received report 2026039, 2025, Smith Falls Drinking Water System Summary Report for information.
Any further discussion, please?
Yes, this is an annual requirement of all the acts and laws that govern municipalities. For good reasons, our water system is the most regulated, and there are literally dozens and dozens of laws, regulations that we must follow in order to deliver safe drinking water to our residents. And in an annual report, staff deliver to council, who's ultimately accountable for the safe drinking water. They assure council through this report that everything is operating as expected. And through accreditation and external review, we met 100% of the requirements. And this is a pattern that our excellent staff have developed over the years, and we hope it continues. If you do have any questions about our drinking water systems, and please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to respond to them. And read the report. It's quite an interesting, long read.
Thank you. Any further comments? It is moved by Councillor McKenna and seconded by Councillor Robinson that Council Corporation of Town of Smith Falls receive report 2026-039, 2025 Smith Falls Drinking Water System Summary Report for information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And Councillor Miller.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls approve an increase of $12,000 to the building permit software project approved in the 2026 capital budget, bringing the total capital cost to $34,500.
Thank you. And further discussion, explanation?
Yeah, so we have started that project and we're underway with that, but unfortunately we realized there was an error in the process and we had to adjust the budget number, so we've done so.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor McKenna?
Just that the cost of that is coming out of the building permit fund, and it's not
Thank you.
going to be any impact on our budget. So just
Yes.
Good, thanks.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Quinn. The Council of Corporation of Town of Smith Falls approve an increase of $12,000 to the building permit software project approved in the 2026 capital budget, bringing the total capital cost to $34,500. All in favor? Carried. That's it for our motions. We have two bylaws. Our first is with Councillor McKenna.
thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Robinson that a bylaw to authorize execution of an agreement with the Royal Bank of Canada to fund capital projects as presented through the 2026 budget process be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, we have 6 major capital projects on that are either that have been completed for the most part, and 5 of these we're going to borrow from the Royal Bank at a favorable interest rate over a 5-year period. It'll be amortized over a 30-year period, and we'll get to review that every 5 years. The council will and see where we're at. The water tower cost is being tidied up, and that will come forward at a future meeting. Given the turmoil in the world, in the financial markets and otherwise, staff, our director of finance, certainly working with the Royal Bank, found us, I think, a favorable rate, and the conditions are fair and reasonable. And we're spreading this out so that we can share the costs with future generations who will benefit from these assets.
Thank you. So it's moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that bylaw to authorize execution of an agreement with the Royal Bank of Canada to fund capital projects as presented through the 2026 budget process be received for the first time and taken for a second time. All in favor? That's carried. Third reading, please.
Again, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Robinson, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an agreement with the Royal Bank of Canada to fund capital projects as presented through the 2026 budget process be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, number 10682-2026.
Thank you. But moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with the Royal Bank of Canada to fund capital projects as presented through the 2026 budget process be now for the third time. Only passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10682-2026. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And our final formal piece of business is with Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to establish and adopt the terms of reference for the steering committee for the regional recreational facility project be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to establish and adopt the terms of reference for the steering committee for the regional recreational facility project be received or a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor Quinn?
This is a very interesting project, and it's wonderful to see this steering committee coming forward so that everyone can be involved as we move forward with this to establish our new recreational center eventually.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Third reading, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to establish and adopt the terms of reference for the steering committee for the regional recreational facility project be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10683-2026.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to establish and adopt the terms of reference for the steering committee for the regional recreation facility project be now for the third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10683-2026. All in favor? That's carried. We have any inquiries or announcements? No, we have no confirmatory bylaw, and our adjournment is with Councillor Robinson, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that the committee adjourn its proceedings at 6:13 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor McKenna. The committee adjourns. This committee adjourns proceedings at 6:13 p.m. Stands so adjourned. The next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.